Repetitions are repeats made by the reader. Sometimes readers repeat a word, sometimes they repeat a phrase, and sometimes they repeat back to the beginning of a sentence or page. There are many reasons why readers reread a text, and we'll talk about them later. Let's take a look at some of the coding conventions for repetitions. A repetition is recorded as a capital R written above the text, just like a substitution because the reader initiates it. So, if the word loose is repeated, it would be recorded like this. The repetition may only be a word, and in that case, the R is written to the right above the word. For example, in this word breakfast. The repetition may be a phrase, an entire sentence, or a page. When it's more than a word, an arrow is drawn back to where the repeat began. If Kate had a loose tooth was repeated, it would look like this. Sometimes a student repeats a word more than one time. When that occurs, you count the repeats and record the number next to the capital R. The first repeat is recorded as the capital R. The second and subsequent repeats are coded as R2, R3, and so forth. If very was repeated twice, it would look like this.
Okay, I'm going to tell you something. I don't want you to do it that way because I have smarter people that I've trained that have come up with a better way. What happens is if you write a 2 here, the kid says it again, now you got to erase the 2 and write a 3. And this kid is going too fast for you to have time to erase and then put another one in there. He's already got 3 or 4 more words done, so we do it this way. You can thank Leanne. She says, why can't we have the repeat for the first one, tally mark for the second one, tally mark for the third one. You don't have to erase anything.
What if they don't, like where it says Kate had a loose tooth, and they repeated that, then on repeat number 2 she just said loose tooth, so she only repeated part of it back again. So
Then
how do
you
you
draw another line back that far.
Okay.
They do that.
Yeah.
We do. That's
Yeah.
what we experience a lot of.
Absolutely. Are repeats bad? I've only had one kid that I would consider a repeat bad. And they repeated and repeated and repeated and didn't need to. They had perfect reading. I don't know where the habit came from. If a kid repeats to gain meaning, or if a kid repeats just to make sure he can get the next, buy time for that next word. Have you ever had kids do that? Yeah, they buy time. I don't know the word play, so I'm going to say Kate, 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 and all the time they're trying to figure that next word out. Kate played with her tooth. Buying time.
So is it an error or not?
Is what?
Is it an error or not?
No.
Okay.
Repeats are considered good. The good readers notice when something's not right. They notice if they lost meaning. They notice if they lost structure. They notice if they have lost the phonics or visual. We want readers putting all 3 together.
Well,
Go ahead.
why do we mark them then? What is that telling us?
Okay, if they go all the way back there, it tells me that they think they got to do that again to have meaning. Maybe they had worked too hard on loose or tooth, and so they weren't quite sure if it all made sense, so they go back and reread to make sure it makes sense. That would be a lot of it. If they just went back for loose tooth, they're probably working on loose and tooth, and they're not completely sure that they're right. So how far they go back and where they go back to really helps you understand. Let me give you some other things here that will be intriguing that I don't imagine I did in the first class in primary.